how do you do? I don't speak Spanish. Now this is a very beautiful piece of work.
Do you like it?
Yes.
It's the balsa de totora.
Beautiful.
And this is the totora, the dry flower.
Yes, that's the flower that I think I saw on the road.
And this is the paja brava.
Oh yes. It looks like he's breathing something there.
Yeah.
How long would it take him to make one?
15 days.
Una persona.
One person.
Oh, that's marvelous.
Yes.
Sí.
Yes. That is really beautiful.
It's strong. It's strong.
Yes, it's very, very, very beautiful.
For the next leg of the journey, Opie took me on a Macoro into the swamplands of the Okavango Delta. We came across a local watering hole where the animals stopped to have a drink. Bobbing in and out of the water, there was a family of hippos, never taking their eyes off us. There they are.
Yeah, it's come out now.
Oh, there's 3 of them.
Yeah, 3.
Like a family.
Like families. With mother and father in the little one. See the baby right in the middle.
Yeah.
See the head.
Just by the mother.
Yeah, it's that one I'm talking about. Yeah. Yes.
When I set out on this journey, it was to reach the flow edge. The flow edge is where the ice on the open ocean has stopped melting and you have reached water. This is where the wildlife has started to gather. The walrus, the narwhal, the seal, the polar bear. This is where the Inuit want to come to get their supply of food. We came around a corner and there was this small iceberg. So we were able to clamber up the inside of the iceberg, and then when we got to the peak, there was this long, gentle slope down the other side. And Joasi was very dignified as an Inuit, and he walked down, but I couldn't resist.
Alert Bay has a very large and beautifully decorated big house. I was very fortunate to be invited to a potlatch. It was being held by a woman in memory of her deceased husband. This was a great honor for me, as potlatches are private occasions, and the family had extended a special invitation to me. The potlatch started with a ceremony, and then was followed by dancing, and this lasted all day.
What are we doing? You tell me, George.
You tell me.
The first trap he showed me was for martins.
What are you doing?
Checking a trap.
Martins are trapped for their valuable soft fur.
Oh. Wow.
George, like many Cree in James Bay, makes his livelihood by hunting and trapping. George spoke Cree, and enough English for us to communicate. Later on, he explained how a beaver trap worked. He didn't have numbers he could rhyme off of the number of animals he'd killed or even the area of his trap line, how large it was, but he just had this years of knowledge. And I felt really honored for him to have explained and to have shared all of that knowledge with me.
The drum dancing sounded interesting, and I found the group practicing outside of town. It's mostly youth that have come together and are doing the traditional Inuit drumming.
Maslingo, Maslingo, Inup Kagasani, Inup Kagasani.
The rhythmic pounding of the drums of these drummers just echoed through the hills, and it was most chilling and heartwarming to hear.
I decided to take the opportunity to visit a coffee plantation. Coffee is an important export product in Costa Rica, and I was curious about how it's grown and processed.
What we do is we wait until the green was ripened. Look at this. So here, let me show you. You squeeze it on your hand, and inside there's a very sweet juice, and you have 1 and 2 seeds. And this is what we roast. It's sweet.
The next day of my trip to Greenland, I met my guide. He took me on a boat ride out deep into the fjord, just outside of Nuuk. After we were on the boat for a while, we approached a very large glacier that had a beautiful waterfall running from it.
So where does the water come from?
The water is coming from the ice up there, so the melting, so it's coming from underneath.
Does it ever freeze?
Sometimes when it's really cold, winter time.
Glad to see Miguel's family when we finally made it to the community of Canas. Canas is a community that by North American standards is very isolated. There were no roads, no vehicles of any kind coming in there, and the only communication they had with the outside world was a two-way radio that was powered by a car battery that was hooked up to a solar panel. The houses, because the construction was fascinating to me. It was beautiful. The houses were made of very small poles and they looked like they could be quite frail, but at the same time you could see they were very well built. And Miguel explained to me that they withstand earthquakes very well, because in this area we're not far from the foothills of the Andes, and there's often earthquakes, but the houses, if they're well built, don't fall down.
The giant tortoises are among the most unique animals on the Galapagos Islands. They are majestic to look at. They do look 200 years old, possibly some of them are. The tortoises are of great interest to the Charles Darwin Foundation, and they've paid a lot of attention in reintroducing different races onto the island.
On the coast of the Red Sea, Handy and I came across a Bedouin village. Their huts are built from driftwood and scraps washed up from shipwrecks. They are enough to protect the people from the sun and wind of the beach that is their home. One of the local Bedouins was kind enough to invite us to his home for tea.
If you want more, you just, put it like this. That means you want more coffee or tea.
Yeah.
And if you don't want any more, you just...
give it a little shake?
Yeah, you shake your glass. That means you
I've
don't
had
want
enough.
any more. Then you say shukran.
Thank you for having us in your home, Ali. I was very moved by the hospitality of Ali and the others in the village. Thank you.
I was lucky to find Magaru, a very special person who took great delight in showing tourists the wonders of his country. But then I found out that Actually, once you get down there, there's really no food to be found, and so you should actually probably take a cook, too. That's how I met Kevita.
On my next day in Finland, I met my new guide, Oli, who took me cross-country skiing. Oli was a native Sami who couldn't speak much English. I don't speak any Finnish, so communication was a bit difficult. But that's okay, because I don't ski very well. My skis were 150 years old, and my boots were made out of reindeer. They were not at all what I had expected.
Fishing was a job I would never want, but I felt it was important to experience it myself.
You can't visit St. Pierre without meeting a fisherman. I went out with Andre. In order to fish, we had to go out before dawn. He was a superb fisherman. He would put his line in, and seconds later, he would just be pulling in these massive quantities of fish and shaking them off the line. Poor fish. He was fishing for mackerel. Mackerel was very plentiful around the island.
When we got back to shore, Andre gave me a lift.
Musa and I went to a wonderful performance of dance. It wasn't a scheduled performance, and Musa had to go to a fair bit of trouble to get these dancers together to give us an idea of the kind of dance they do in the Gambia.
I was told there was a woman in a neighboring village who could perform a sacred ceremony and call upon the gods. African priests and priestesses are highly respected in African culture. I felt very honored to be part of this ceremony, a ceremony which is usually only allowed for Africans.
The next morning, I set out with the guide Benji to the top of the mountain to see the Galapagos Falls, the tallest single-drop falls in the world.
Do you see monkeys and stuff like that in here?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, if you see a monkey, let me know, huh?
All right.
Okay. Do you see many snakes around this forest?
Never seen one yet.
You never seen? Oh, that's great. Oh, great. Oh, can we drink it?
Yeah.
Oh, are you sure?
Yeah.
It's going to be clean?
Yeah.
Oh.
I was so hot, and we'd forgot to get water going up this mountain.
Oh, I got my glasses on.
We came across a waterfall, so I had a shower
Oh, it feels so cool. Ooh.
with my clothes on.
Great.
I was drinking the spring water, and it tasted wonderful. Certainly was one of the highlights of the trip.
Oh, what's this? Oh, God. Shower stall.
Near the folk museum, I had the opportunity to ride an Icelandic horse. They're known to be small and very gentle animals. They, of course, were used always for the sheep roundup in the fall. And they can stand all kinds of rough territory.
I love the Hindu sub-festivals. This festival is a celebration of energizing music and twirling dances. I loved being out there with the people of the area and getting caught up in their celebration.
With my guide Wilma, I was on the first leg of my journey to Mackenzie Falls. We hiked for quite a while, and finally, alongside the river, I could hear the falls up ahead, and it sounded like it looked spectacular, so we decided to go in. Being in a waterfall is such a cool experience. It was a wonderful experience. I'll never forget that. Being in Mackenzie Falls with no one around but Vilma, Sean, and me.
When I reached Petra, I was assigned a guide. His name was Harun. We took horses down the Seek, which is a narrow passageway.
This is absolutely amazing, Harun.
The rose-red city half as old as time is the phrase that describes it. After the treasury, Harun and I dismounted from our steeds and walked down another Seek, but it was a wider one this time, with an old theatre on the left, and on the right some other temples. One was called the Urn Temple that we climbed up to.
We were going to take a difficult trek into the mountains. They were very steep, and as we're driving along, I'm wondering, what am I getting myself into? We were going to climb up to 4,000 meters. This was going to be the ultimate challenge, my ultimate test. Many a time when I was halfway up, I thought, no way am I going any farther. Am I going to stay here and freeze, or should I carry on? This climb ended up being the most frustrating thing I've ever endured in my life. I really thought, I can't do this. It's too high, it looks too slippery. I'm going to fall, I'm going to hurt myself. There are times when I felt like sitting down and crying, but I could see the top of the mountain, and I had to keep on going. When we finally reached the top, it was magnificent. I hadn't let this mountain beat me.
Martin was excited for me to meet the chief. He had told me a lot about him.
In his lifetime, did he ever take any heads?
He said no.
Did his father take any heads? How many?
Yeah, more than 40, about 35. Yeah.
Oh. Do you have any trophies?
Whoa!
What is this?
From the darkness of the crypt, I emerged into the sunshine to find a very interesting place. I discovered a place where birds of a feather flocked together. They were men and they literally collected birds.
Hello, how are you?
Not bad.
What's your bird? What kind of bird?
Green.
The men certainly did love their birds, and I got attached to one myself.
Hello.
Maybe this hobby isn't just for men.
Zagora's market was much more rural compared to Marrakesh. They basically sold the same fruits and vegetables, but they also bought and sold livestock there. Sheep and goats and donkeys and camels, that sort of thing. Indigo. Oh, yes.
Yeah, excuse me. How much this?
Oh, no, I don't want that. It'll be 15 Canadian.
15?
15 Canadian. 15 Canadian.
I found the merchants really aggressive, and whenever I went into a market, if I showed any interest in any of the things that was in my hand and sold to me before I knew it. No, I don't want the necklace. No. I found some of the men very sexually aggressive. I don't think they were used to Western women, you know, the way we dressed or talked. It was a constant concern, you know. I always had to be aware of any body parts showing.
Now the horn of the animal Sahara.
I was really trying to discourage their advances. I was trying not to be a victim. There's a very different attitude about women in Eastern countries.
They want this? It's very good in black. All people here, traditional, they make black.
By the time we reached the top, we were exhausted but thrilled to be looking over the whole valley. It was just such an exhilarating feeling to be up there and to look down over this valley, which in essence hasn't really changed that much.
We did it.
Yeah.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
Want to walk back down? You want to do it right now, right?
We were to begin the trek.
So how long? We'll walk like 9 hours?
No, 6 or 7 hours.
6 hours? That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
My guide and translator, Dorji, had made the trek many, many times before.
My guide for the trip was Nasser. He wore traditional Omani clothing, as all Omanis are required to wear in public. He was going to show me the market in Muscat, which was called the souk.
This is we call it Omani khanjar here. Actually, it's made from silver. This khanjar have got the knives inside it. They use to dance with this knife.
Oh dear.
Yeah. When the
sounds dangerous.
Yeah, it sounds dangerous. The people they used to stand all together and dance with this khanjar, which we call Omani traditional dance with the khanjar. And they used to all the Omani people they have to wear this khanjar.
I see.
Yeah.
And do you know how to dance with the
Yes.
knife? Oh,
every
do you?
Omani know how to dance
right.
this khanjar.
Really?
And every Omani have got here his own khanjar.
Oh.
Because every traditional things or wedding, you have to wear this khanjar. Here you can see this is the frankincense and incense shop here. And the people, they used to burn the frankincense to keep the good smell of the house.
Oh, yes.
You can smell it, how it smells. Very good smell.
It's very sweet.
Very sweet.
Is Oman the only place in the world that frankincense can grow?
There is only 3 countries, Oman, Yemen, and Somalia.
Even today?
Even today.
And how much would it cost for this good quality little bag?
Good quality, it will take about $1.50.
Oh, that's a pretty good deal.
Yes.
We should take some home.
This old man let us go and see the cave where he kept the skulls of his ancestors. And this was a great honor. I was amazed at the power that these people have from the spirits of their ancestors and how important these spirits are, how they control their lives and have controlled them for such a long time. There were several skulls in the cave, very brightly painted.
I
was very honored that he let me come and see the skulls of his ancestors.
We continued our journey deeper into Senegal, making our way over rough roads to the village of Makana.
The chef of the village, you choose Mahana to be your destination, so they are the most pleased and they saying welcome anytime you want to come back here.
Well, tell him maybe I will come back. Thank you very much.
That's welcome.
We set out on a tour, and when I turned around, I realized that just about everyone in the village had joined us.
Those kind of things, seems like they don't want you to leave.
No, they probably don't. I don't think I want to leave.
I met my guide, Siggy. He was a young man who knew a lot about the Basque region. Siggy took me to a gastronomic society. This is a type of club where men cook for one another, and sometimes women are not allowed. Hola! Hola. What are you guys doing?
They are cooking. They are preparing our dinner.
Smells good. After cooking, it was time to eat, and we sure had a lot to eat. After dinner, they critiqued the food and the chef, so thankfully no one commented on my cooking skills or lack of cooking skills. I think to them, I just became one of the guys, and Spain seemed like my kind of place.
In Thailand, elephants were used to perform heavy work, such as clearing the forests. Even though there's not much need for that now, elephants are still used for other activities, such as safaris. I got the chance to go on an elephant safari. I watched the driver. He was very easy with the elephant. The elephant was very, very gentle in his steps. We crossed the river, and you would never have known the elephant was walking across anything other than solid ground. Walking through the forest with the elephant was really something. When I started to think about what the elephant meant to the people in Thailand, it made me realize what a great opportunity it was to be sitting on one and watching it. So serene, walking through the forest, and how fortunate I was to be able to be so close to such a wonderful animal.
The next day, we traveled to Haran, which is very near the border with Syria, which is the southeastern corner of Turkey. Haran is a village that's known as one of the oldest continuously habitated places on earth. It's even mentioned in the Bible. In Haran, in the past, people lived in these beehive-shaped houses. And there, in Haran, there were swarms of children. And they ran very happily to greet us. You have beautiful hands. Look at them, red ones. They all had red hands from henna. So what happened? I had to have my hands made red too.
You're ready to get remarried. Becoming a bride.
Good.
Go get remarried.
Landed in Phoenix, capital city of Arizona, and met my Navajo guide, Leon Skyhorse. Leon took me to see Canyon du Chet. It has a great significance to the Navajo people.
They estimate about 1,000 people live in this canyon at its peak around 1100 AD.
Wow. This canyon was originally inhabited by the Anasazi people. They were even here before the Navajo came.
This is Canyon du Chet, and this is the second largest canyon in the world next to the Grand Canyon. Yes, it's the home of the Diné people, the Navajo people. This canyon is the only national monument in the United States where the National Park Service doesn't own the land in the canyon. This land is owned by the Navajo people. Wow.
This is nice.
Sure is.
Do you feel a strong feeling every time you come here still?
Very spiritual place here.
It's wonderful.
So some of our mythical stories, they evolved here, not only here, but we look at the whole earth as being sacred. Everything is holy around us. The land, the people, the homes, even ourselves, our mind, our bodies, our soul, our spirit, who are children of the holy people.
I like that. I agree with that.
Yeah,
very
that's
much so.
the way it is, yes.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's home to the indigenous people. And this land was set aside by the Creator for the indigenous people of the Northern Hemisphere. And we use everything here for medicine, all the plants, all the leaves, the barks, the roots. They're used for either a food source or for medicine. Even the Navajo women, they use it in their dyes.
Just shows how far we've moved away from using what's available to us, and you're still doing it, which is great.
Yeah.
Sitting there behind him, watching him move, brought tears to my eyes. Because I was witnessing something that was unchanged for a century. All I could think was that here I am, Catherine Hepburn in The African Queen, with Humphrey Bogart guiding me.
My day was not up yet. I met with Filippo, who worked at the ranch and was very knowledgeable about Hawaiian culture and customs. One of Filippo's sons, Greg, was surfing nearby, so he volunteered to give me my first surfing lesson.
So Greg, you're going to teach me how to surf today.
All right.
Okay, what's the first thing I need to do?
First thing you need to do is learn how to balance yourself on the surfboard. Yeah, you want to find the center of the board?
Am I there?
You might want to move back a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. And then from there, you're going to start paddling. Yeah, just like that. As you start to pick up speed, you're going to slowly push yourself up like this. And then you're going to hop up on your feet. On your feet, yeah. You can slowly set yourself up and stand up just like that.
I realized it takes a lot of patience to be a surfer, but it was so much fun. I'd definitely try it again.
My guide Farrell was excellent. He had been in America, so that's how he could speak English so well. He helped in every way and explained everything that we saw. One day he took me to the market to buy some quat. Quat is a plant that grows very well in Yemen. It's some leaves that you chew and it makes you feel pretty good. I didn't want to try it myself, but I thought I'd go with Fadl to see how it's bought. It's green leaves on the tops of twigs. It's grown very easily, apparently, much easier than coffee, and it's very popular. Something like tobacco. I didn't try it, but apparently it gives you a high.
Ba ni ho.